So to sew up a cuff, what you want to do is first of all make sure you've notched where your fold lines are and any other information you need from the pattern. And then you're just going to unpin it. And because I'm just making a toile, I haven't marked my buttons or anything, but if you're making the full garment, then you obviously want to mark on where your buttons are. And then what you want to do is, if you've got a cuff that is just one piece and a fold line down the middle, you want to fold it, and then we're going to be sewing down the two sides. But if you have a cuff that has a funny edge or anything like that, and you've not got it with a fold line, then you just want to sew down this bottom edge of it as well. So you're basically making sure you've got this, this and this all together, and then you've still got an opening here, which will be the bit here that attaches onto your sleeve. And then I'm just going to be sewing down these two edges, but as I was saying, if you've got an edge unsewn here as well, you just want to sew that up too. So now I've got the first part of the cuff sewn. I just want to cut off the corners just so it folds through really nicely. So I'm just going to cut them at an angle. And obviously if you've got a seam line along here and it just needs trimming, you just go across the whole lot. If you've got a wiggly line here, then make sure you're snipping into it. So you just want to snip every so often into the stitching so that then the curve will be really crisp when you fold it through and iron it flat. And the same if you've got any curved corners around here, you just want to snip into them. So now we're just going to turn it the right way around. And give it a little quick iron. And I've got this tool here that I use to point things through, but you can use the pen lid of a biro or something similar just to make sure everything's pointed through. And of course, if you did have interfacing for this, you want to make sure you've ironed that on first before sewing anything up. And now what you want to do is we're going to be attaching it to the sleeve. So I've got a gathered sleeve here at the bottom, so it's gathered up. So my cuff is going to be going around there, and you can see I've already got my placket on, and then that's going to attach here. This is the wrong way around at the moment, but this is going to go around here. So the way I do it so that I've got really nice top stitching on the top is I sew the cuff to the inside of the sleeve first, and then I turn it around, and then I do the top stitching on the outer side, and then that means you know the top stitching is really nice and neat. So I'm just gonna attach this to the outside. So I've got the wrong side out here, and then I start with this bit here. And you're only sewing one side of the cuff onto the sleeve. I'm going to pin the other end, and then that means I can just adjust the gathers so that they're evenly across my sleeve. But obviously if you don't have gathers, you don't need to worry about that. So I've pinned this now from each edge of the cuff. I've only pinned one side, and now I'm going to be sewing down it the seam allowance amount in, and then we can flip it the right way around and top stitch it. So I've now sewn my cuff on, and now what I want to do is iron the other bit so I then can top stitch it on the outside. So you can turn the sleeve the right way round at this point if you want, or you can leave it as it is if it's not a problem for your cuff. So now what I'm going to do is just top stitch along here, and if you want top stitching all the way around your cuff, you can do that at the same time as well. And obviously if you're creating your final garment, you've got little threads everywhere, just make sure to cut them off as you go so you can hide them inside the remainder of it. And again, you're just sewing 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters in from the edge, so you make sure you cover that first line of stitching. So there is my cuff on the bottom of my sleeve, and of course now all you want to do is add on your buttonholes and add on your buttons as well. So your buttons are going to go underneath and your buttonholes are going to go above. If you would like to start creating your own sewing patterns, then I have developed the perfect ebook for you. So my free ebook, An Introduction to Pattern Cutting, is really good for you to get started and understand what is behind pattern cutting and where to start. So I go through how it's going to help you, what pattern cutting is, the tools you need to get started, and lots of amazing things so you can really understand what's behind your sewing patterns and how to get started and creating your own patterns as well. You'll find the link to download this in the notes below.